Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to take 2 of the Rare Arms video. We had a few technical difficulties on Friday, so we are going to go for round 2. So if you do have any questions, if you caught a bit of the stream on Friday and you want to know a little bit more about the Rare Arms, by all means, drop your questions down below. We'll flash it up on screen and we'll answer it as quickly as we can. I'll go through all of its features, but this is going to be one of them platforms that some people are going to say is unskirmishable. Some are probably really want to get their hands on it. It has a certain place in Airsoft. It's not going to be something you see on an Airsoft field very often, but it has some really cool, very unique tricks. So we will delve into it. And again, if you've got any questions, drop them down below and we will get to you as quickly as we can. So it does have a 14mm counterclockwise thread, so all of your normal accessories fit. You can put tracer units on it, you can do all that kind of stuff. But this is the shorter version of the ones that Rare Arms make. This is the only one we currently have. So this is the 10.3 inch system. There is a longer full carbine one, but we thought this one would be better to start off with. The longer one does have a longer barrel and a longer rail, so it's very different on the front end. You could change the rail if it's not your cup of tea, but I do like this very modern M-LOK system that they've gone for. So you've got M-LOK on the right hand side, left hand side and bottom. The little holes that you can see, so there's one there, and then matching on this side, they're your QD sling points. So if you have the little press stud slings, they fit straight in there. And this hole in the back on the stock is the rear mount as well. So if you want a 2-point sling with the QD, you can do with them, or you do have a sling plate at the back if you want to single point it, or again, you could double point it on that as well. So the Riz going along the top does actually hide the front sight post. So you can see it's got the spring-loaded rear sight. The front sight is actually hidden in the rail system. So if I press this button on the left, it simply pops up. This offers sort of two different aspects of it. It does mean that you do have spring-loaded sights ready to go. So you have to press the button to drop this one down. But if you are wanting to throw some sort of embus style ones on there, you can just simply put it over the front iron sight, so it gives you that extra little bit of Riz that's usually hidden if they wanted to put something else in there. Reaper, he's here all day. Good afternoon. What is the rail system? So this is an M-LOK style rail system on the main body of the front end, so you get Riz on the right, left and bottom. The angled side, so you get your 1 and 1 o'clock position, sort of 10 o'clock position. I do believe that they are still M-LOK. I've not actually tried fitting an M-LOK part to them yet, but if they do go in there, it does give you other options. But you have normal 20mm Riz going along the top. So as I was saying, you do have the flip-up front sight. This is a pin sight, and this can be adjusted for your elevation, and then drop that away. And then the rear sight, you press the sides, that comes up, and you can adjust this for your windage. The aperture in here can drop away, and it gives you a slightly larger hole, so you get essentially what's equivalent to a day sight and a night sight when it comes to iron sights. It's just easier to see through, so you're probably going to see it, leave it on the largest aperture. Coming back to the receiver, it is a full metal receiver, so the rail is CNC'd aluminium and the body is metal. I think the controls on here, so your mag release and your fire control, etc., are all made out of steel parts. But coming to the mag release, I will press this and it drops the mag out. This is where it becomes very different to anything else out there, is the magazine. So in here, I've got about 5 or 6 in there, but you need, these come with it, you get about 30 in the pack with it. You put a single BB in the end of each one of these. CO2 goes in the grip, and every time you pull the trigger, when it racks back, similar to a gas blowback, it will throw one of these out the side of the ejection port, mimicking that sort of real steel round flying out, and then it will push the next one into the breech. CO2 goes into the grip, so in the grip is this little container, and you do get an Allen key in there as well. The Allen key can sit just inside the grip here, but you stick your CO2 bulb in there, slide it in, tighten it up, and you get approximately about 70 shots out of a CO2 bulb, so about 2 mags. There is, in the future, I don't know if they've fully released it yet, but I've been speaking to the Rare Arms guys, and there is going to be a Hpa adapter. So if you're not wanting CO2 and having to change CO2, etc., and you wanted to try and run this as a legitimate platform, you will be able to Hpa this in the future. But until then, it's CO2 bulbs, drops into there, tighten it up, and you are good to go. Again, you get about 70 rounds out of a single CO2 bulb, so it's not terrible, but you are going to have to factor that into your gameplay. But the actual Allen key does fit in a little slot inside the grip as well. So controls, again, it is right-handed dominant, so your mag release is on the right-hand side, your fire selector is on this side. Unlike other gas blowbacks, this will go into safe even when it's unloaded, so this is currently safe. There's no round in the chamber, and it is not cocked, but it will still go into safe. So it is very, very different to a gas blowback. And again, you then have semi and full auto. Yes, this does full auto. It is a lot of fun, but it's one of them things you are going to burn through your rounds very, very quickly. And when this thing, you need to be quite sort of conservative with your rounds, round counts, everything like that. You don't want to go empty on someone that quick. The bolt forward on here, again, this is old technology. I wouldn't really use this. You see modern platforms now, at no point should you be forcing a round into a breach that's not going in there under its own will. So if for whatever reason you need to clear a stoppage, you need to sort anything out like that, work out how your stoppage drills work, rack it back, clear the mag, clear the breach, everything like that. I think we've had one occurrence of a round sticking in the chamber, so if you're having multiple stoppages one after another, make sure you haven't got a stoppage in your breach, because that will stop the next round coming in and you'll have to clear it manually. Paul Eastwood, are the shells reusable? Yes, absolutely. So these are plastic bodied shells. The end bit here is rubber. There's nothing wrong with picking these back up, putting another BB in it, and throwing it back in the mag. Yes, these are not disposable. They are sort of lifed. Obviously, they are in a gas blowback system. They are going to get chucked around. They're going to get dinked. They're going to get cracked. So they are lifed, but they are reusable. We will hopefully get shells in at some point, but currently we only have the carbines in. The stock itself, again, about 6 positions, I think the stock is when it's all the way out. We're looking at about 75, 76 centimeters long in its overall platform. Collapses down to about 67. Again, similar to gas blowback, you won't be able to change the actual stock tube because the actual full bolt system goes back in there when it's operating, but you can change the stock if you like. If you want to throw a CTR on there, you want to throw a big PTS stock on there, that's all doable. And then you can simply collapse it away with that. So if you do have any other questions, by all means, drop them down below and we will discuss any little features or quirks that you want to see on this. Unfortunately, I can't test it. Purely because we will get instantly banned off YouTube. But I'll go through some of its... Paddy David Cowan, do any other mags work with it? No, this is a completely 100% proprietary system. As you can see, there is no other way to fit BBs in this. It is simply the shells click into it and you are good to go. Again, every time you pull the trigger on this, it will load one of these into the chamber and then throw it out of the shell door. So again, it is a 100% proprietary system. This is the only magazine that will work with it. Epoxy on YouTube, can it be converted to HPA? I do believe that there is an adapter, so we do have the CO2 bulb bit in the back here. So you put a CO2 bulb in the grip here. I have seen or been speaking to the guys that make this, and there is going to be an adapter to throw a converter in here. So you would basically put the HPA into here instead of the CO2. Again, you're still going to be running shells. You're still going to be 1 BB per shell. The only thing that's going to change is you're not going to have to change your CO2 bulb every 70 odd rounds. So yes, HPA will be possible. When, I can't say, but it will be very, very cool. Internally as well, I do believe there is a little plate inside here where you can have high recoil, low efficiency, or you can swap where it is and have high efficiency, low recoil. When I say low recoil, it is still quite potent. I think they come in the high recoil, low efficiency setting, which is what this is at the moment, and that's the about 70 rounds. If you swap that around, you get a little bit less recoil. I do say a little, it's still the same as most gas blowbacks out there, and you do get a few more shots out of it. We've not tested its efficiency yet, but we will do. just to see how many rounds you can get out of it like that. So people that are joining, I'll go through a few of its features and what this thing's like. Oh, MTB Scotland, can you get a shell catcher to clip to where the dust cover is? I do believe that you will be able to get them. I think I don't think Rare Arms make one themselves, but there are shell catchers available. You can get them. I think you could probably buy one on Amazon if you wanted. So it does have a 40mm counterclockwise thread on the front of it for those that want to stick tracers or anything like that on it. It does have a 6.05mm tight bore barrel in there, and it is about 250mm in length. Changing bits around inside, obviously it is a 100% proprietary system, so as this thing comes out the box, that's how it is. Hop wise, about where my finger is, going into this M-lock slot here, there is a sort of turret on top of the outer barrel. Twisting that is how you adjust the hop, because you do have to think that the shell sits about here, so the BB is going to be about here. So the hop has to be in the barrel almost, so the adjuster for it is about here. You could probably do it with a screwdriver or a little bit of plastic, but personally what I'd do, 2 screws at the bottom of the rail, slide it off. Your barrel nut will keep your barrel and it'll be totally fine. You can then freely adjust your hop whilst you're firing a couple of shots, and then throw your rail back on. It's going to be the easiest way to do it. You're not really ever going to change your hop on this once it's set, because of where it sits and how consistent a TDC style hop system is. It's not really going to change much. It does come out the bottom. Paul, if you are buying spare mags, do the shells come with it, or are they separate to get? So when we have them available, so the platform comes as it is, it comes with a single shell and 30 shells. After that, the magazines and the shells are 2 separate items, so you'll be able to get shells separately and magazines separately. They don't come in packages. We might put a little bundle thing together to make it easier, but that's just how they come. Tom Reed, what's the unmodified FPS will it fire at? So out the box, this sits about 330 FPS. I don't know yet if changing the plate inside, so I say the recoil and efficiency plate, so you've got high recoil, low efficiency, or high efficiency, low recoil. If we swap that over, I don't know if that slightly changes the FPS, but if it does, I believe it would go down, because I believe we're in the high recoil setting as it is, so it means there's more gas going out. Reaper, how heavy is it? As it sits now, it's just over 2 kilos, so this thing sits at about 2.2 kilos. So when that comes to like other gas blowback systems, you look at like the Masada, the PTS, this is actually quite light, and this is more in keeping with real steel sort of weights. The weight in real steel comes from the magazine, and again, you're not adding full rounds to it, you're adding plastic shells, so it's not going to add too much weight. So it is extremely comfy, it's extremely versatile. Looking forward to seeing people throw this around like maybe a CQB site or something like that. Personally, my thing on this would probably turn it into maybe an L119, sort of maybe swap the rail out, ACOG, and make it a bit of a special one-off, sort of very rarely used platform, but looks really, really cool. Or maybe turn it into maybe a DMR style thing, maybe an SPR, something like Lone Survivor, hiding in a bush. And like, if you're using this as a DMR, them shells flying off, it means you can conserve your rounds better. You're not going to use as many rounds as sort of a rifleman AG player or anything like that. If you are doing that DMR thing, you can be a bit more conservative with your round count, and it's going to be a little bit easier to sort of handle it. Again, shells are available separately, but we also are looking at the potential of whether or not they are 3D printable, to see if that could ease the pain of the one thing that makes some people say it's unskirmishable. I do doubt that very much. I do believe it is definitely something that someone could definitely have a lot of fun with, but it is extremely cool. Again, the party trick with this is the fact that it is a magazine full of individual shells. Each shell has a single BB in it, and every time you pull the trigger, one of them flies off. And if you want to go collect it, that's fine. If not, you can just get more. It's one of them platforms, again, if you go into a milsim and it's one of them sort of more story-driven weekends where you're only going to maybe use sort of 90, 100 rounds, this is one of them platforms that makes it really, really cool. A bit more immersive. Again, if you're into film work, TV production, these sit really, really well in there. They're not using any form of blank rounds, and then you can just post-produce any flash or noise that you want afterwards. But I do believe they are very, very cool. I think there is probably one going to head to my armory hopefully very, very soon. I'm very, very interested in getting one and seeing what we can do with it. But, there he is, Ash. I thought you'd be loitering in there knowing that I want one of these. But yes, Ash knows very much how what I want to do with one of these, and it is going to look very cool once I've done it. But if that's everything for today, I think we've managed to get through version 2 of this video very, very easily. But this has been the Rare Arms GBBR. If you've got any other questions on it, by all means, drop your questions on Instagram. Again, if there's anything you want us to talk about, drop us a message on there. It's the easiest way to get hold of us, and we'll throw your suggestions to the top of the list and get it out there. But if that's everything, we'll be back on Wednesday about 4 PM. Until then, I'll see you in a bit.